Hello guys, and welcome to the series of shell scripting. In this video we are going to discuss about the functions. So let's begin. Functions are the features in shell scripting that allows the grouping of multiple commands which can be executed with a single call. So you can write multiple commands inside a function, and whenever you will call that functions, all those commands will get executed. Now to define the function there are two ways. First of all, we write here function, then the name of the function. Let's say the name of the function is add, and then we use the curly braces. Inside the curly braces we write our commands, okay, and whatever we write inside the curly braces is also known as the body of the functions, okay. For instance, for now I will only write here echo inside add function, okay. This is the first way of defining the function. In another way, we only write the name of the function, then parenthesis, and after that we write the body of the function. Alright, and inside it I'll write here inside sub function. Alright, now if you want to call these functions, then you simply write the name of the function. For instance, I will write here add, okay. So if I save this and execute our shell script, then you will see it is saying inside the add function, right? Whatever the commands and logic we are defining inside the body of the functions will get execute. Alright, similarly if I execute the another function or call the another function, that will be sub, okay. In this condition our sub function will get called and all the commands within its body will get executed. Now one important thing to remember is that the calling of the functions can only done after the definition of the function. For example, if instead of calling sub here, if I try to call it above it, let's say I'm writing here sub, then it is not going to work. So if I save it and execute our shell script again, then you will see it will say sub command not found, okay. So we have to call the functions only after its definition. Now the next part is that how we can send the data to a particular function and how we can access them. Okay, so this passing of arguments to a function is similar to the command line arguments. For example, suppose I want to send two numbers or two values to this particular function, that is add. So I'll write here add 4 and then space 6. Okay, so we are passing here two value. If I want to access those value, then 4 can be accessed with the $1 and 6 will be accessed with the $2. Okay, so inside the function if I want to access this, then I will write here echo $1, okay. This will be our first value, and then I'll write here plus $2, right. We need to perform this particular operation. So if I save it and again execute our shell script, then you will see I'm able to access the 4 and also the 6, right. And after that I can perform the operation, that is the sum. So I can write here sum equals to $1 plus $2, correct. And finally echo the sum is $sum, correct. Now if I again execute our shell script, then you will see the sum is 10. Similarly, if you provide any other values here, for instance 4, 12, in that case the output will be 16, correct. Now in the same way we can send the argument to the sub function also. So I'll write here, let's say 6 and then 3. Okay, and inside sub we can access the first parameter with the $1, second parameter with the $2, third parameter with the $3, fourth parameter with the $4, like that. Okay, so I'll write here sub is equals to $1 minus $2, correct. And finally I write here echo subtraction is $sub. So let's save our shell script, and if I execute our shell script, you will see the addition function is happening, and then finally whatever we had defined in the sub function are getting executed, and we are making the calls to a function with the function name. We can call the function as many times as we like. For example, I can again call this function with the 16 and the 45 value, okay. And in this case whatever we had defined in that particular function will get executed with these values, correct. So it is giving me, first of all it run for the 4 and 12 value and it give me output as the sum is 16. Then it run for the subtraction function, and finally we again call the addition function. So it gave me output as the sum is 61. Now apart from the $1, $2, $3 variables like that, there are other variables also that you can use. For example, if you want to find out the number of arguments that has been passed to a function, in that case you can use the $hash, which is similar what we studied in the command line arguments also. So I can write here echo number of arguments are $hash, and let me comment this calling of function from this location, and I'll write here in this location. All right, add 4 6 and let's write here 8. Now in this case I had passed here 3 arguments, correct, to a function. So in this particular case our output will be, first it will sum the 4 and 6 and then it will tell us the number of arguments that has been passed are 3, correct. Similarly we can also use inside it, that is the $@ and $*, which is similar to how we can use it in the command line arguments or how we studied in detail in the arrays video. Okay, so if I want to loop through all the values that has been passed to a function, for that we can write here for I in, then in the double quotes $@ and then do done echo and then the $I. Okay, it is going to loop through all the values that has been passed to a function. So if I again execute our shell script, then you will see it is looping through all the values, correct. And if I pass here another value, let's say 9, in that case also now it will loop through one more time, that is also for the 9, and in this case the total number of arguments that we had passed are 4. So 4 has been printed here. Now one more variable is the $0 variable. So $0 variable is a special case when it comes to the functions. Okay, so if I write here echo $0, then it is going to print the name of the script. It is not going to print me the name of the function. So keep this point in mind, that when you are using the bash shell, then $0 is going to print you the name of the script, not the name of the function. In some other shells, like in some implementation of KSH shell, you can access the name of the functions using the $0 variable. Okay, but in the bash shell, if you are using the $0 variable, then it will only print you the name of the script, not the name of the function. Okay, so if I save it and again execute our script, then you will see it is giving me the path of that particular executable. Right now, if you want to print the name of the function, then you can use the special variable, that is the FUNCNAME. So for that I'll write here echo, then the name of function is $, then FUNCNAME. Okay, and since this is an array, I will give here index as 0. Okay, so if I again execute our shell script, then you will see it is giving us the name of the function also, that is the name of the function at this moment is add, correct. Now what exactly is the FUNCNAME array variable and what is the variable scope while using the function, these two things we will discuss in the next video. But for now, if you want to print the name of the function that is being called, in that case you can use the $FUNCNAME and pass it there 0 as an index. Now if you already know some other programming languages like C language or the Python language, then you might be wondering that whether we can use return keyword here or not. So the answer is yes, we can use the return keyword in the functions, but it cannot be used to return any particular value from a function. We use the return function to define its exit status code. Okay, for instance, currently if I am using here add, then passing here arguments, then what is the exit status code of this calling is going to be. Okay, for instance, currently if I write here echo and then I'll write here $, then what will be the exit status code at this moment? It is 0. By default, the exit status code of a function is the exit status code of the last command defined in that particular function body. Okay, for instance, if I write here instead of echo, if I write here ls and give here any particular value which give me error, then you will see the exit status code of the function will get changed. Basically whatever will be the exit status code of the last command, that exit status code is going to be the exit status code of the function. Okay, now if you want to explicitly define it, then you write here return keyword. So return keyword is used when you want to define the exit status code of the function. For instance, I can write here 4. Okay, so in this case, exit status code of the function is going to be 4, right? Similarly, if I write here 0, then in this case the exit status code will be 0. Another thing, as soon as the return keyword is encountered, all the subsequent code defined below the return keyword are not going to execute, right? For instance, if I write here echo and then I'll write here OK, in this case we will see that it is not going to execute. This line is not going to execute. So as soon as the return keyword will encounter, the function execution will terminate and the program execution will go next line after its calling. So always remember, return keyword is not used to return a particular value. It is used for the returning the exit status code or defining the exit status code. Okay, if I write here 265, then you will see it is not going to return us 265. It is going to return me 9, because as we had seen in the previous video, the exit status code could line from the 0 to 255. Basically, it will follow all the rules that we studied in the exit status code video. Alright, so always remember, return keyword is used to define the exit status code, not to return a particular value. Okay, so this is how you can use the functions in shell scripting. But the one important question is that why we even use the functions and what are the benefits of it. So let's find the answer of this question. Now the very first reason of using the function is the code reusability. For that, let's assume that there is some 10 line of code that is get repeated in your shell script again and again. So suppose there are 10 lines you write in the shell script, then you write some lines. So I'll write here some lines. Okay, then again you are writing the same 10 lines after that. Okay, then you again write some lines, then again you write those 10 lines again. Okay, now these 10 lines we are writing again and again. So a better option would be here is to create a function, and inside it we will define these 10 lines. Okay, now wherever I want to run these 10 commands, I am simply going to call this function. For instance, first I will call this function, correct? Then I will write some lines. Okay, let's say these are 2 lines, correct? And this is also 2 lines. So I write here 2 lines, then I'll again execute the function, and then I'll again write some lines. Okay, let's say 2 lines, and then I will again execute this function. So if you compare both, in this situation we were writing 10 plus 2 plus 10 plus 2 plus 10. Okay, so total amount we were writing here 34 lines, but in this case we write here 10 lines, correct? And then here 1, then 2, 1, 2 and 1, that is 10 plus 11, 13, 16 and 17. So it is reducing the total number of lines that we had used in our shell script. So whenever there is a certain logic or certain number of commands that you know that are going to be repeated again and again, so it's better to use the functions there. Okay, now along with code reusability, it also provides the feature of cleaner code. So what generally happens within a shell script, we write different functionalities. For example, some functionality could be addition of user, okay, deletion of the user, and taking backup of the user. Suppose all these 3 functionality I am defining in the same shell script. So in this case, instead of writing all this code line by line, it will be a good practice to write one function for the addition of the user, and whatever code we want to write for it we can define here. Another function we can create for the delete user, and then whatever code we want to write we can define there, and similarly for the backup. Okay, so in this case our code readability increases, and also it gives us the cleaner code. And since we are dividing our program into multiple segments based on their functionality, it is also helpful in debugging purpose. For instance, suppose you write there 3 functions. One is for the addition of user, then deletion of the user, then the backup of the user. And suppose you execute your shell script and you find out that the addition of the user, whatever we had defined here, it is working fine. Backup is also getting successfully, but there is some issues are coming in the deletion of the user. So in that case you will know exactly where to look for the problem. Okay, since the deletion part is not working fine, you can directly come to this function and see only this much of code rather than all the code. So many times it is also helpful to find out where exactly to look for the issues. Okay, or we can say it is also helpful in debugging several times. So it is highly recommended to use the functions wherever possible. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you like the video. If you have any doubt, please comment it down. Thanks for watching, and I have to see you in the next video.